What if one old wash plant, the one everyone had already written off, ended up producing the biggest number in gold rush history? That's the question this video is built around. Picture this: a machine considered outdated, a season already full of solid but ordinary hauls, and then one bold decision that changes everything. This is not a recap of what actually aired. This is a what-if story, built for fans who love imagining how far Parker Schnabel's ambition could really go. If that sounds like your kind of video, stick around, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Let's set the scene. Across the real season, crews have been grinding out respectable numbers. Some operations bank a few $100,000 in a strong week. Others fight equipment breakdowns just to keep a single wash plant running. That's the normal rhythm of the show. Now imagine a version of the story where Parker looks at his old, half-retired wash plant sitting in the yard and decides it still has one more run left in it. Not a small comeback. A run so big it would rewrite what anyone thought was possible for a single machine on a single claim. In this imagined episode, the crew reaction is mixed the moment Parker announces his plan. Some workers think he is finally cracking under the pressure of a long season. Others get a spark in their eyes because they have seen Parker pull off unlikely wins before. That tension, half doubt and half hope, is what makes this kind of story fun to imagine. It is the classic underdog setup, except here the underdog is a machine everyone assumed was finished. So why does this old wash plant matter so much in our story? Because it represents something bigger than metal and gears. It represents the idea that experience and clever engineering can outperform brute new investment. In the real show, we constantly see brand new equipment brought in to chase bigger numbers. Our imagined twist flips that. Instead of buying something new, Parker bets on smart upgrades to something old and dares the season to prove him wrong. Let's talk about the fictional target Parker sets his sights on in this story: $400 million. In the real world of placer mining, a number like that is almost unheard of for a TV season, and it should be treated exactly as it sounds: wildly ambitious, bordering on impossible. That is precisely why it works as a what-if hook. It is the kind of number that makes you lean in and ask, could this actually happen? In our imagined version, Parker does not throw that number out carelessly. He builds it from drilling data, historical ground performance, and years of reading dirt better than almost anyone else in the Yukon. It is presented as a calculated gamble, not a lucky guess. To make a number like that even remotely believable inside the story, we need bigger ounces and bigger scale. So in this speculative version, Parker's team estimates the ground beneath this reactivated plant could hold somewhere in the range of 150,000 ounces. At a hypothetical gold price of about $2,500 an ounce, that math lands close to our fictional total. It is important to say clearly, these figures do not reflect any confirmed real-world assay or verified season total. They are simply the internal logic of our imagined story, the kind of back-of-the-napkin math a character like Parker might do to justify a giant risk. Every big gamble needs big stakes, and our story leans into that hard. In this version, Parker pours serious money into refurbishing the old plant. New belts, upgraded screens, reinforced frames, and a completely redone recovery system. Fuel costs climb. Manpower costs climb. The pressure inside the camp grows because everyone knows that if this bet fails, it is not just Parker's pride on the line, it is real jobs and real money. That kind of tension is exactly what makes reality mining shows compelling in the first place, whether the numbers are real or imagined. Inside our fictional wash plant, the real transformation is not just paint and rust removal. The story imagines a serious mechanical overhaul. Processing capacity jumps from a modest 100 to 150 cubic yards an hour, up into the 200 to 300 range. That kind of leap represents more dirt through the system every single hour, which in mining terms usually means more chances at recovering gold. Efficiency also gets an imagined boost, somewhere around 30 to 40% better than a standard setup, thanks to smarter water management and a refined sluice design. In our story, this is the quiet engineering win that makes the loud $400 million target feel almost plausible. Now let's step into the multi-site strategy that powers this fictional operation. Instead of throwing everything at one claim, Imagine Parker splits his effort across 5 different sites. One focuses on fast surface recovery. Another goes after deeper, richer layers. A third acts as a testing ground for new techniques before they get rolled out everywhere else. This kind of spread-the-risk approach mirrors real strategies used in serious mining operations, where no single point of failure can sink the whole season. In our story, it also gives us plenty of parallel drama, because something is always happening somewhere across those 5 sites. Running 5 sites at once is not simple, even in fiction. The story imagines more than 200 crew members working staggered shifts, some running excavators, some managing the wash plants themselves, others handling logistics and hauling. Every site reports back through a shared data system. So Imagine Parker can sit in one command spot and see how each location is performing in near real time. If one site underperforms, resources shift to cover it. If another site is crushing its numbers, the story lets us imagine Parker doubling down there instead. The heartbeat of the operation, in this speculative version, is around-the-clock production. Machines run day and night for months at a stretch. That means enormous volumes of material moved every single week, hypothetically in the tens of thousands of cubic yards. It also means enormous daily costs, since fuel, maintenance, and payroll do not pause just because the sun goes down. This is the kind of all-in commitment that turns a normal mining season into something that feels almost like an industrial siege. One of the more entertaining threads we can imagine for this story is a deep gold theory. Picture Imagine Parker convinced that the richest gold is not sitting near the surface where everyone else digs, but locked away much deeper, in a layer few crews have ever bothered to chase. To test that idea, the story has the crew running core drilling down to depths of 80 or 100 feet. When those samples come back, most of it looks like ordinary soil and rock. But scattered through certain layers, the imagined data shows unusually concentrated pockets of gold, hinting at what the story calls a high-grade zone. Naturally, not everyone in the fictional crew buys into this deep gold idea right away. Some see it as classic overreach, the kind of wishful thinking that gets people in trouble in real mining operations. Others get excited, believing this could be the discovery that defines the whole season. That split reaction is a natural storytelling tool, because it lets viewers pick a side and stay invested in whether the gamble actually pays off. When it comes time for the first cleanup in our story, nobody is fully certain what they are about to see. The wash plant runs, the material processes, and finally the gold comes out for weighing. In this imagined version, the first haul comes in around 300 to 400 ounces, an impressive number by any normal season standard, but still far from proving the massive $400 million theory. It is treated as an encouraging first step, not a victory lap. As the fictional operation stabilizes, daily numbers in the story start climbing. 600 ounces on one day, 800 on the next. Some days pushing close to 1,000. If any of that actually happened on a real claim, it would represent one of the most extraordinary recovery rates ever documented in placer mining, which is exactly why this remains a speculative, larger-than-life version of events rather than a claim about anything real. In the story, this stretch is where confidence inside the camp starts to grow, even as the workload and financial pressure grow right alongside it. Every big fictional win needs a matching fictional risk, and our story does not shy away from that. Daily operating costs in this version run somewhere between $40,000 and $60,000. Multiply that across months of nonstop work, and the total investment in refurbishing the plant, upgrading equipment, and running 5 sites easily climbs into the $5 to $10 million range. If the machines break down for even a single day in this high-stakes version, the story treats that as a serious financial gut punch, since both the repair cost and the lost production add up fast. Machine failure becomes one of the central sources of tension in the story. These fictional wash plants are imagined running 24 hours a day, which naturally increases wear and the odds of something breaking. If a major part fails, the whole operation could grind to a halt at exactly the wrong moment. Every worker in this imagined crew understands that a single mistake, a wrong setting, a rushed decision, could unravel weeks of progress. That pressure is what keeps this kind of story feeling alive, rather than just being a parade of good news. To keep the fictional operation grounded, the story leans on a smart technology system instead of pure guesswork. Sensors placed across each site track material processed, recovery rates, and where losses are happening, all feeding back in close to real time. If recovery dips at any location, the imagined crew gets an immediate alert and can adjust washplant settings or redirect material flow before small problems become big ones. Automated reports roll in throughout the day rather than waiting for one big update, letting Imagine Parker constantly reshuffle machines and workers toward whichever site is performing best. In this story, even a small 5% improvement in efficiency becomes a meaningful plot point. Across tens of thousands of cubic yards processed every week, a few extra percentage points of recovery translate into thousands of additional ounces over time, and thousands of ounces translate into serious money. The narrative frames this less as random luck and more as the payoff of treating mining like a data-driven system, where every decision is measured rather than guessed. As the fictional season reaches its midpoint, the pace of discovery accelerates. The story imagines the operation crossing 10,000 ounces, then pushing toward 20,000 not long after. At a hypothetical $2,500 an ounce, that stretch alone represents something in the neighborhood of $50 million, all before the season is even finished. This is the point in the story where outside interest supposedly grows, with fictional investors starting to whisper that this could be a once-in-a-career opportunity rather than just another good season. Of course, rapid success always breeds suspicion, and our story uses that naturally. Some fictional crew members fully buy into the momentum, celebrating every new report. Others stay quiet, half expecting the numbers to be too good to be true. Even the imagined experts split into camps, some crediting smart engineering and planning, others wondering if the estimates are running ahead of reality. Parker's character stays cautious in this version, refusing to celebrate too early, aware that one mistake could unravel the entire narrative. As the story pushes towards climax, verification becomes the central focus. Independent auditors, entirely fictional in this context, step in to double-check every weigh-in. Nothing gets accepted without being carefully measured, moisture content calculated, and results cross-checked. This process is deliberately slow in the story, because credibility matters more than speed when the numbers being discussed are this large. Meanwhile, the operation keeps running at full tilt, machines working around the clock while the audit process unfolds in parallel, creating two sources of pressure happening at once. By the story's final stretch, the imagined total climbs past $300 million, closing in on that original $400 million target. True to the spirit of a good cliffhanger, Imagine Parker never fully confirms the exact final number on camera. Every update offers a hint rather than a definitive answer, leaving the audience wanting more. Then comes one more twist. Reanalyzed drilling data hints at yet another gold-bearing layer, sitting even deeper than the one already being mined, suggesting this fictional deposit might not be a single pocket at all, but a multi-level system stacked at different depths. That twist naturally reopens the door for a sequel story. Deeper drilling means higher cost, more time, and more danger in the narrative, from water intrusion to ground instability. But if the theory holds, what has already been achieved might only be the beginning of an even bigger fictional discovery. Imagine Parker approaches this next phase cautiously, aware that pushing too hard, too fast could turn a legendary season into a cautionary tale instead. So here is the real takeaway from this speculative journey. This story was never about reporting confirmed numbers from an actual gold rush episode. It was about asking a fun, what-if question: what happens when an old, doubted machine gets one more shot, paired with bold strategy and a willingness to gamble everything on a theory? In the real show, ordinary weekly hauls of a few $100,000, hard-fought mechanical wins, and season totals in the tens of millions are already remarkable achievements on their own. Our imagined $400 million version simply pushes that drama to its most extreme, entertaining edge. If you enjoyed imagining this larger-than-life version of Parker Schnabel season, let me know in the comments what other what-if scenarios you would want to see explored next. Should a next story dig into that mysterious deeper layer? Should it follow Tony Beats or Rick Ness chasing an equally wild target of their own? Drop your ideas below, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next speculative deep dive, and I'll see you in the next one.